The Gospel according to Matthew, the 10th chapter. Whoever welcomes you welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And whoever welcomes a righteous person in the name of a righteous person will receive the reward of the righteous. And whoever gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones in the name of a disciple, truly I tell you, none of these will lose their reward. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. Whoever welcomes you welcomes me. How appropriate that this is the gospel message for my last Sunday with Davis Lutheran. When I interviewed with Pastor Jeff a lifetime ago, I asked him if the congregation would be welcoming to my wife and I. He said, yes, they will. This was an understatement. We have felt so welcome from my very first day here. I would have said that my home church of Maluhia in Waianae was the most welcoming congregation. They tend to pounce on newcomers. They give them a chalet and launch into conversation. Little did I know we would find such a warm, loving welcome here in Davis. In the ancient world, identity was tied to family and community. It was understood that in showing hospitality, one welcomed not just an individual, but implicitly the community who sent the person and all they represent. Therefore, welcoming a disciple of Jesus would mean receiving the very presence of Jesus himself and of the one who sent him, God the Father. Davis Lutheran not only welcomed my family, they have welcomed the community of Maluhia that formed me, Jesus, and God our Father. This welcome ties these two congregations together forever. Know that you will be welcomed in this friendly country Lutheran church anytime your wandering feet lead you to Hawaii. In Matthew, we experience the sending of the disciples to proclaim the good news, cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, and cast out demons. This congregation is filled with disciples. You proclaim the good news through your faithful ministry to the community. You cure the sick as medical professionals, doctors, nurses, and all who care about the ill. Cleansing the lepers might seem like a stretch, but when you host the Interfaith Rotating Winter Shelter, you give people in our community who are often treated as less than a sense of well-being, safety, and care. How on earth do you cast out demons? By believing in the face of disbelief. No matter what others say, you still believe. I approached my internship as if it were a box of chocolates. I wanted to taste each flavor and savor it. My internship has been all I wanted and more than I knew to expect. I have become a more confident worship leader and preacher, and I've been given the opportunity to learn, lead, follow, and grow in all aspects of ministry. My supervisor knew when to guide and instruct and when to push me into the deep end of the pool. This worship community has taught me how to provide pastoral care and leadership to a wide variety of people and contexts. Social justice ministry is one of my passions, and the congregation have nurtured it. The entire congregation helped me with constructive feedback and compassion. I have learned how to regulate my work-life balance and provide for a community of believers. This will be an ongoing project. What would happen if we took seriously our calling to bring the gospel to the world? What would happen if we believed that we share the presence of Christ to every person we encounter in every home, workplace, or neighborhood we enter? What would happen if we saw every conversation as an opportunity to speak words of grace, every interaction as an opportunity to embody Christ's love for the neighbor? I met a woman at a local laundromat. She was friendly and we began a conversation. She asked me why I was wearing a collar, and I explained that I was an intern pastor at Davis Lutheran. I invited her to join us for worship and prayed for her. Whether she ever comes to church with us, I shared my faith with her. I showed her that I cared through prayer and compassion. When was the last time you stopped what you were doing and prayed for someone? My family has designated me as their on-call prayer. I get calls or texts at least once a day asking to pray for someone. I used to say, yes, I will pray for you. I don't do that anymore. If someone asks me to pray, I stop what I'm doing, And I pray right there and then, out loud and with firm intention and mighty faith. To welcome a disciple is to welcome Jesus. One receives the same reward for offering cold water to a little one in a disciple's name as for offering it to that disciple or even to Jesus himself. As with the parable of the sheep and the goats from Matthew 25, it doesn't matter who receives care. What matters is the care that is offered. Once again, the experiences of the disciples carry the same value as that of Jesus. The pattern has come full circle. Those early churches met an abundance of traveling preachers. This created a major discernment issue for the churches. Which preachers to welcome and which to send away. Paul's correspondence with churches reflects the conflict among the traveling preachers. In our day, churches rarely have visiting preachers who just pop up for a few days. However, the question of authentic ministry remains ever present. At Davis Lutheran, you have welcomed many interns. Each time you discerned what you as a community could do to help them learn, grow, reflect, and become a better minister. Then you send them out as a gift to our denomination. You have a lengthy history of helping to send ministers into mission in the world. It is one of the great temptations in mission to think of it only in terms of great missionaries of the past. We are drawn to heroic figures and their visible exploits. But as Paul was fond of reminding us, the body is made of interdependent parts that cannot function alone, even if some members are given credit out of proportion to their value to the whole. That is to say, that great missionaries tend to be recognized, and their support teams who make the mission possible through prayer, planning, and financial support are so often undervalued. The congregation of Davis Lutheran are the support team responsible for many great ministers out in the world, and I am grateful for the wonderful support team you have been for me. The divine mission is as much about the unnamed people who provide a thirsty servant a cold drink of water as the familiar names that dot the pages of church histories. In fact, within the New Testament and Acts, we encounter many such minor characters. They are minor only in the sense that their contributions to God's mission surely surpass their airtime they receive. People like Ananias, the good one, Simon the tanner, Cornelius, Lydia, Sergius Paulus, and so on. Their hospitality and social connections were decisive for the spread of the Christian way. We may not always receive such a positive response when we take the risk of reaching out. Yet we may be surprised at how ready many are to receive our most humble efforts. We should not forget what we have to offer. We have Jesus' promise. Whoever welcomes you, welcomes me. Amen.